So Jayson Tatum, slow start. Didn't have his first field goal till 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. They had an ugly shooting start as a team. I think they were 2 of 18 from three. This was the modern ugly basketball when teams are just going to keep shooting threes, even though the rim is telling them you're not going to hit threes, so you might want to try a different approach. And then they started to score. They started to hit their threes. But late in the second quarter, they gave up a 7-0 run to end the quarter. That included a Bam Adebayo, I guess he called glass beater at the end of the second quarter for a three. But as the end of the quarter played out, Joe Mazzulla got hot and he got bothered. And this is what he had to say about it postgame.
Listen, those are the things that when we're sitting here and we lose a close game and everyone focuses on the fourth quarter and the last minute and a half and the last shot and all that crap, and you lose the second quarter 7-0 because you don't execute the 2-for-1 and you stab in the backcourt and you give up three plays. That stuff can cost you more than what happens in the fourth quarter. But when you win, no one wants to talk about them. And so we just have to have a heightened awareness of the details of closing out quarters. That to me is the biggest difference between winning and losing. And we got away with it today. I thought, you're obviously not going to play perfect basketball, but I thought the difference between that 7-0 run in the second half is we just didn't let up, and we got back. We got it to 13. They called a timeout, and then we kept building from there. And so, just having that sustained success. But that 7-0 run is why we sit here and talk about what happens at the end of close games.
So that was Joe Mazzulla talking about the end of the second quarter, a 7-0 run, which cut a double-digit lead down to single digits. I think it cut it to like 9. And then he apparently kind of took that frustration into the locker room and may have targeted the man with a 0 on his jersey number, Jayson Tatum, for a defensive lapse where he didn't get back, tried to reach and poke the ball away from Adebayo and all that, which we've all seen before. It happens to every NBA player. It happens to Jayson Tatum. Well, Jayson Tatum reacted the way you would like a guy to react, because he went out and lit up the third quarter. He was hitting threes. He was driving to the basket. He was banging on his chest. He was playing angry, playing motivated, whatever you want to call it. Finished with 33 points. And as I said, he didn't score a basket until the end of the second quarter. Finishes with 33 points. And I think Jayson Tatum sounds like he got the message that his head coach sent.
It's always about making the right read. I think the way that we ended it first half, a lot of that was on me. I just didn't have much of an input on the game as I normally do in that first half. So, just kind of time for me to wake up in the second half.
Time for him to wake up. And isn't that something we have questioned about Jayson Tatum basically back since Duke, where it's that alpha dog. He doesn't have he loved Kobe, but he doesn't have the Mamba mentality at all times. And I don't know if this is a one-off where he was just pissed off because his coach called him out or had a slow half or whatever. But I am taking a more optimistic approach, Fitzy. I am going to say that Joe Mazzulla found the cheat code. Joe Mazzulla found the button to push. Wherever, that reset button, your kids have all these toys, and it's like in Toy Story, the Spanish to English one in the back, or the reset button. Everything goes wrong, you push this button, you get back to factory standards, and now it's ready to play with again. Did Jayson Tatum's button get found last night by Joe Mazzulla? Because I thought that was the most entertaining quarter of basketball that Jayson Tatum's ever played as a Boston Celtic.
Well, it's coming off of a Saturday night game in New York against the Knickerbockers, a team that many people thought would be their greatest challenger in the East this year, where he also dominated. He had 40 points on the road Saturday night. Tatum just proving to be a much better road warrior, just like the team is on the whole. Team's 22-6 on the road now versus 15-10 at home, which is just a sorry state of affairs and unacceptable, whether you're a reigning champion looking to repeat or just anybody road grading through the NBA. The third quarter seemed to now be Tatum's time to shine. 16 points in the third on Saturday, 20 points last night as well. They had nothing except Porzingis calling glass and an occasional Hauser 3 early, down 11 points against a team that boasts Adebayo, who seems half checked out, and Wiggins off the trade, who's depressed that he's not in Golden State anymore. They should have just absolutely dominated last night, but again, kind of sleepwalking, kind of conserving their energy until Mazzulla challenged Tatum. This now seems to be their key. Tatum needs to flounder a bit or just kind of no-show, and then he gets called out by his coach, and then he activates him, and then once he gets going, He's unstoppable. I just want to know what it's going to take for Jayson Tatum to unlock unstoppable domination mode at the start of the game and go 48 minutes, whether he plays all 48 minutes or not. Because while there will be some times through the remainder of this season and early in the postseason where he'll be able to get away with this, as the team will on the whole, whether you have Jaylen Brown or not, you're not going to be able to just always rely that Tatum's going to be able to snap into it on that third quarter and steal the dub.
Yeah, I still don't love the inconsistency to Tatum's game, but if Joe Mazzulla has taken a step in terms of how he can manipulate the emotions of Jayson Tatum or light a fire under him or whatever it may be, that's a good thing. And if they're healthy, I don't even really mind slow starts from Tatum, because the one thing, even in his bad season, and Jaylen Brown is not having his best season. We can all agree on that. He is not having his best season.
I hope he doesn't play tomorrow night either, Andy. I hope he gets it. Like, give him the rest of the week through the All-Star break to just kind of physically rest, emotionally, psychologically, whatever it is that's dogging him. Give him a little time to put it back together. I need him healthier of mind and body in May.
So I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But the one thing he's actually done a decent job of, even through some of his not great games, is hot starts. He'll score 10 or 12, 13 points in the first quarter. So he had that game a couple games ago with, it was all 2-pointers. He was doing the paint and the mid-range, and boom, and he's got 13 points. If they figure out some relationship where it's like basically a relay leg, and Jaylen Brown is going to run the first leg with a good time and then hand it off to Jayson Tatum in the second quarter at some point, and he's going to run the second leg and take off and build a lead. If that's how they build it, I'm fine with it. I just more loved the style of play. That was the player that everybody tells me is this dominant force, can do everything. He can step back three, sidestep three, can mid-range pull-up, stop it,
drive the lane, play defense, has incredible the length for rebounds, the assists, when that's what's so frustrating about him at times. It's that we all expect greatness from him, Andy.
And that is why I am choosing to optimistically say that somewhere along the line, he figured out in this game what Mazzulla was looking for, or was just angry. Sometimes we all perform better when we're angry, right? When you just... You're goddamn right, bro. They do the run angry thing on NFL Network, right? Angry runs or whatever.
That's the Kyle Brandt special, yeah.
If you're 100% emotionally invested, and I think we've all questioned that at various times with Jayson Tatum over the years. Is he 100% emotionally invested? And last night in that third quarter, he absolutely was. It harkened back to me. He had one where the lip readers on Twitter, I don't know if you saw this, the lip readers on Twitter said he said things that we absolutely cannot reference on air. But
good. See,
exactly.
I like to hear that. Exactly. I don't like an action star, Andy, that's going to be like, you'll have to excuse me if I kick all of your asses now. Prevent the diabolical plot and go home with the girl. You want someone who's just going to come in and just be like, take that, MFer, and just wreak havoc and, lay waste. And, isn't it the whole, shoot first, ask questions later mentality? Yeah. If it takes, I like this whole idea of the Celtics, and maybe it's tough to figure out in season, mid season, 2/3 the way through. Maybe an all-star break will do them a world of good on this. But the idea that like Jaylen's your opener, and then we're just going to need a couple of Pritchard shots, occasionally some Holiday. Porzingis can always fill in the gaps and cracks in the energy, the effort, the attitude, the game plan, whatever. But then Tatum turns into the closer, because isn't Jayson Tatum the biggest living fan, or so we've been told, of Kobe Bryant, a.k.a. the Mamba mentality? Maybe if this is what, year 7 of the Jayson Tatum experience, correct? 17, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Year 8. Because he was drafted in 17. If this is year 8 of the Jayson Tatum experience, but it takes him this long, even though he's already a multi-time All-Star, even though he's already a $300 million man, even though he's already an NBA champion, if this is when his version of the Mamba mentality halfway through the season after his first NBA championship evolves, then this season is a plus. And this is also the same season. Many listeners, many texters, many viewers, many friends, whoever, have all told us, relax, guys. A lot of repeating NBA champions won 60-something games on their way to the title, and then the next year won something between 54 and 57 games, and then they pointed scoreboard style to Golden State of recent year. If all of this comes to be, I'm fine with it. I don't know what it was that made him start slowly last night? Because maybe they just underestimated. And they overplayed their hand and underestimated Miami because Adebayo was aggressive early. So was Wiggins as well. Miami was hitting their threes. Celtics only shot 32% on the night from three-point land. So that stat alone should tell us that they were going to struggle, or at least the game would be closer. When Jayson Tatum has the full comportment of all of his powers, he is legitimately a Marvel comic-style basketball hero that can do just about anything on the court that he wants.
And he's so damn likable to watch as a player. That's the other thing, is people criticize me for, why are you more of a JB fan than a Jayson Tatum fan? Why don't you love Jayson Tatum? And maybe part of it for me is I always think he can do more. I always want to see more. I think he's better than some of the performances he puts forth, some of the styles of performances he puts forth. And that is certainly not an argument last night. And he was playing so well. He hit a groove last night that Mazzulla actually kept him in the game longer. He stayed in the game longer in the fourth quarter because Mazzulla's like, he hit his groove and I wanted him to play it out. So he rewarded him like, if you're going to play like this, I'll just let you keep playing and showing off and basically showing people how good you are.
Feed the hot hand.
Absolutely.
Feed the hot hand.
Absolutely.